Alright, I'm back. Oh my gosh. Let me just do a little intro on this. I'm just gonna do my side of the story before I start on this. So I wanted to actually record this and do this on May 4th when the comic came out, and plus it has the whole 3 in it because I'll have Spider-Man 3. I did that. Also did the 5-year anniversary, even though it's like, is anybody here? And I just wanted this one, so it'll be like at least 3. But no, the 2 people I was depending on, they were like the 2 people I was depending on, along with the X-Men. The X-Men just did it just now. They actually posted up like a few hours ago or so. We have like 2 kids, 1 kid who does it, but he hasn't been around. I mean, it's been 2 weeks and he hasn't even uploaded yet. And then we have the kid Spider, and he's 16, I think, and he hasn't done it, not at all. And plus his 9th one, he hasn't checked back to be like, oh crap, man, I put some wrong music on there and now it's blocked on America. Man, I'm so idiotic. I need to change it. So since they didn't do that crap, I was basically screwed for like 3 days, and I've been searching and searching and searching. All I found was just science. I just found sciencefiction.com that had it, well, somewhat. They just basically gave me a synopsis of it, and then I looked and said, wow, they got it wrong. They put Aaron Morales instead of Aaron Davis. That's one thing you need to know, kids, is that it's Aaron Davis, not Aaron Morales. Of course, I bet he just changed his name to another name or something. Alright, my 2 cents are out. Here is now where you guys should be listening. So this is a big spoiler, I guess you can say, / review of the 10 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man so far. Alright, I did my homework on here, and man, this took like lots of pages. So I'm going to read from the pages and just check it out and enjoy. Wow. Okay, anyways, you have Norman Osborn and a scientist try to recreate the spider that bit Peter. And this happened like at least... oh my gosh. Well, this happened at least like a month ago, a few months ago. And we saw that the spider had the number 42, which later comes into account. I have to make a side note that I'm sad that the X-Men haven't really said anything about that. You know, when they started, they gave some good information on it, but the sad part is that they didn't even touch whatsoever that the spider's number actually have a little bit of significance and funny irony onto it. But anyways, later that night, we have the Prowler that looks kind of like Deadpool, except he dyed his mask purple. So he went to the lab and he wanted steal some priceless goods, some good pricing goods. You know, maybe something that costs like a lot of money. I think it actually was something for Scorpion, but we don't really know. Even in number 10, where it kind of got up a little bit, still didn't say. We just saw him with a red box, and we also saw that the 42 spider previously, like in the morning, someone was stupid enough to not close the lid and make sure the spider was in there. So the spider is around the lab, and it ends up crawling in on Uncle's leg, and it goes into his bag, which he didn't notice that there's a spider right there. And number 2, why didn't the spider bite him? I mean, yeah. So anyways, the 42 spider hitched a ride with Prowler to his house. That morning, Miles and his family were on their way to the school raffle. And, oh yeah, on his way, his mom gave him a touching moment. And I think his dad did it later. His dad did it afterwards. Yeah, which I kind of got that a little bit confused. So his mother gave him some touching speech. Then they went to the auditorium. And here is something from X-Men, the main X-Men. I will call him, I don't know. I didn't even really gave him like some good nicknames yet, but one of the X-Men, which is their leader, he said that, well, he gave us information about how the raffle and is basically described. It's described very well in Waiting for Superman. So if you want to have more information and get a better understanding of the raffle and stuff, go watch Waiting for Superman. That's not a plug. That's just something that'll help you understand. So the Niles got a ticket, right? And guess what the number is? 42. Which the Spider's 42, his ball's 42, and he gets called. And his mom was overjoyed, and his dad was surprised when he won. He was called. And Miles didn't like it at all because he's like, it shouldn't have been me. It should have been one of these other guys, like this girl over there is crying. The guy's disappointed, hiding his tears. So, since he won, he gets to pick dinner. So, he won, and then after that, I think they went home. Miles went to his uncle's house, and his uncle was overjoyed, saying, wow. And of course, we find out that his uncle is the Prowler when the Spider shows up at his apartment, and they both celebrate with popsicles. And Aaron was enjoying the popsicle. Miles was enjoying the popsicle. Aaron was in the kitchen, and the Spider was crawling right up on his hand on the couch, and he bit him, and that just made him foam. He started foaming in the mouth. His eyes looked weird and dilated, and his uncle was shocked, and he had to call his dad because he had no other choice. So when his dad showed up, they showed how lovey-dovey they are as brothers. So they both disagree, and they both argued. And one thing I noticed is that with one of the kids they uploaded it. They didn't show this part, the fact that Miles said stop it, but apparently Miles did say stop it to those two and ran off. But that picture or that clip has been moved from his. So I don't know. So he basically ran out the door. He ran out the whole entire building. His father started looking for him. Well, his first father called him out, saying, Miles, Miles. And he kept on looking for him. And we noticed that Miles first turned invisible / camo mode. And we were like, what the heck? And then he suddenly reappears from his face all the way to his shoulders reappears. And he tried to call his dad. He did try to call his dad, but he was invisible and his dad couldn't see him. So that's into part 1. Now on to part 2. So Miles was running, freaking out. He was able to jump very high. He avoided a glass. I think that was glass or a painting. He jumped over it. And then he turned invisible in front of some people after some people were like, oh my gosh, whoa. And then Miles was trying to figure things out. He walked into some bullies, and this is when we first get to see Venom Blast Punch for the very first time. And the bullies labeled him a mutant, and he walked away and went to Ganks, his best friend. So we introduced the Gank. So they're both trying to figure out what's happening. First he was trying to say, man, something is going on. I don't believe what's going on here. And he was trying to show him what he could do, which he tried to turn invisible, but it looked like he was trying to take a dump. And that's one funny thing they put in there, is the fact that Gank said, are you trying to take a dump? So after that, basically, Miles touched his Legos. Venom Blast Punch happens, which that's kind of weird, and that scatters all his Legos, all of Gank's Legos. And then all of a sudden he disappears. He does Gabbo mode, and then both of them are like, "Whoa!" Gank is like, "Whoa! What the heck's happened?" So yeah, so they're starting to try to figure it out, and Miles is freaking out, saying, "This is not good. I didn't want this. I wanted to be normal." And luckily, his father finds him. Yeah, his father straight up went to Gank's house and was like, his father decided to have a talk with Miles in the park. And it was a detailed talk. It was a very good talk, and well thought out and everything. So the dad tells Miles about his past along with his uncles, and it was touching the fact that he used to be a bad guy, but he turned good while his uncle stayed in the dark realm. I'll call it dark realm. My goodness. Sorry for the beeps, folks, if you can hear it. Sorry for it. So, after that long speech, we had Iceman and Human Torch pass each other. And since they passed each other, well, they passed Miles and his father. And since they passed Miles and his father, oh my gosh. Miles' dad was like way biased about it. He was like so biased, it's not even funny. He hates mutants apparently. He hates superhuman. I would like to just say superhuman instead of saying he hates mutants, because Spider-Man is not a mutant. Since Spider-Man is not a mutant, technically, he hates superhumans. Wow. Alright, anyways, like I was saying, basically his dad doesn't like superhumans. So later that night, Miles was asleep and Gank texted him. And basically Gank is kind of a good friend / he was interested in what was going on. So basically Gank did some research and he was like, "You were bitten by a spider, right?" Yeah. So he's like, "You're not a mutant, but could you be Spider-Man?" And then he sent him a link. That was the funny part. He sent him a link and some dude wrote it. So the dude wrote it, and basically they showed a frame by frame of Peter and Miles together. Since they did that, they actually had him look at his hands, and then he actually climbed the wall. And then we find out, uh-oh, and that's the end of the second one. Alright. So, I'm going to give a brief what's up in the middle of it. But for right now, Gank came to his house at night to see him, which is like weird. What? It's like, what? They're both 13 years old, and you guys have like, what's going on here? I mean, do you have keys or something, or do you guys have your doors unlocked? If you have your doors unlocked, I know that's New York. You most likely will get stuff stolen. Or anyways, so Gank urges him to show him that he can climb the wall. Excuse me. Miles basically said, "Shut the door." And that's the funny thing about it. It's like, shut the door. And he shows it. Basically, now he's like, what am I going to do? Yeah, what he's going to do, because he wanted to be normal. He wanted to have a normal life. He wanted to go to college. He wanted to do lots of stuff. And now this happened, and he's like, holy crap, man, this is just so bad. Oh my gosh. So Gank actually congratulates him and give him a hug, and he's like, stop it. So yeah, basically he's sad, and he tries to cheer up Miles by stating he's not a mutant, which that doesn't help either way, but yeah, that doesn't help. So since it doesn't help, crap. Oh well. Since it doesn't help, we just had an argument. Yeah, we just started to have an argument with Gank and Miles. He's saying if you're not going to use the powers, then I'll just take me over to his apartment, take me over to your uncle's apartment, and I will get bitten by that spider, and I will get the girls, and I will have the action and be a hero. So with that said, they actually, I don't even know if they did it at night or they did it in the morning. But if they did, well, I have no idea. I don't think it was in the morning. I think they actually snuck out and they went to the uncle's apartment, which it turns out his uncle's apartment was empty. And as for the spider, we have no clue. I mean, that's always the thing, is that you see the spider once, and then after Spider-Man is born, you don't see the spider ever again. It's like crazy. Uh-huh. Okay, I'm trying to see. Yeah. So the two walk, and okay, so it has to be morning because the two walk and they see that there's a fire engine that runs past them. That just past them. So, of course, you guys know what happens with a burning building and Spider-Man. He has to go help. So, Miles actually helps. Miles actually, which he does. He saved like two girls. He saved one girl that was rude, and then another girl that was very small, and she was very grateful to be saved. So here's a few things. One funny thing is the fact that we find out that Miles is not too fond of heights. We found that out. We find out that he actually is able to climb. What the heck? Oh, anyways, we find out that he's afraid of heights. He doesn't like heights whatsoever. Yeah, that's what we find out. So he has a height issue. And it's funny that after all that, we have a black firefighter saying, "Told you Spider-Man was black." And Miles went to the alley. So this is what's happened. This is the second time he actually went to the alley. He was crying with emotions. And they start to, yeah, so they cry with emotions, it's like very unbelievable. It's like he doesn't want to do it. He just can't do it. It's like too unbelievable. Wise. They introduced the charter school. And so we get introduced to the charter school. It's called Brooklyn's Visions Academy. And Gank and Miles got to be roommates. And then we have the new guy named Judge, which he sure is a judge, and I just nickname him Jughead because he pisses me off. Since he pisses me off hardcore, I say, why not give him like a messed up name from Archie's Adventures or crap. So basically, we see their school life. We see them walking down the hall. I think we actually see them go to school, go to classes, and then we go to the nighttime where Miles have a foreshadowing dream, which we're not sure. Some say it's actually more of a spider sense, even more advanced spider sense, where we have Electro coming and say, "Die, Spider-Man," and shocked Miles. Miles is like, "What the hell?" So Miles woke up. Gank was also awake, and I think Judge was a stupid idiot. Jughead was an idiot, and he kind of got awake saying, "What's going on? What you guys doing over there?" And then we have the counselor knocking on the door saying, "Everyone get out of the bed, leave everything, and come to the auditorium. We have something important." And then we find out that announcement was Spider-Man's been shot. Thanks a lot, Punisher. And that was the end of number 3. The only thing I have to say about number 3 before I continue is the fact that, so Spider-Man's been shot, and you tell everyone to get into the auditorium. I mean, there's nothing really that unbelievable. I mean, what you expecting? That as soon as Spider-Man's been shot, lots of burglars will come at you and break open a room and steal your stuff? If that's what you believe in, then you guys are so idiotic. Yeah, you guys are so idiotic, it's not even funny. Anyways, Now on to 4. So everyone is getting calmed down by the gatekeeper. I'm going to call her the gatekeeper because she was the one in the later comics that actually had the list for vegetation. For some reason, all their parents were called. Even though it's just Spider-Man who got shot, everyone has been called. And we actually get to see the first time Miles said, "Hey Gank, you have to cover me. Cover me." So Miles is actually going to Peter, and we show yet again that Miles has a height problem when he's actually jumping. Yeah, so instead of climbing, this time is jumping, and he's able to jump great distances. Miles gets close. Oh wait, we get to see scenes from Dark Spider-Man, and we see the whole fight. We see how Miles actually sees all the we see Miles get to see like Electro explosion, and also gets to see the explosion made by stupid Green Goblin. And then Peter's dead, and he gets close to Gwen, and he asks who was Spider-Man, and he says Peter Parker. From seeing Spider-Man lie there, he got the drive to become Spider-Man. Basically, like Spider-Man had his Uncle Ben. So from that, so first they used the first Spider-Man cover. Yeah, they used this first Spider-Man cover as the Rest in Peace Spider-Man cover. And we have Gank and Miles talking about Spider-Man if he could have backed him up. So if Miles actually wasn't a coward, wasn't afraid of what his dad would say, he could have been there for Peter and found some way to help. But instead he was kind of scared and he didn't want to do it. And then Gank was like, "But you could have died." Yeah. Instead of helping, you could have died along with him. Yeah. He's like, "Instead, maybe you are the Spider-Man on board. You're the Spider-Man on deck now." So, and here's Jughead coming in with freaking idiotic insensitivity. The fact he's like, "Man, there's like some mad traffic out there. Man, by the way the traffic is acting, it seems like we had like some school is like over or something." And he gets looks, which I'm like, dude, get the Chuck out of here. I mean, really, didn't you hear that Spider-Man got freaking killed? Of course traffic is messed up. What you expect? Lots of people are trying to get to Spider-Man. Lots of people heard about Spider-Man. There might have been like some people who got saved by Spider-Man but moved away. Heck, there's even the whole flood to do the reboot crap, and those guys might have not even came back, and they were like, "Oh crap, Spider-Man died? Oh my gosh, I gotta go to that funeral." And then there's lots of people going to the funeral. So Jughead, you're a freaking idiot. Sit down, shut up. Alright, now we're back to Peter's funeral. So Miles was there, and they had a touching scene with a little girl and Aunt May. She was like, "Are you his mommy?" And it's like, "No, I'm his aunt, dear." "But you cooked his breakfast like you were his mommy." Yeah. So she was basically one of the kids that was saved from Spider-Man, and she got like a little burn. But hey, she's alive. That's what counts. So Miles and Gwen had a little talk. And he was like, why did he do it? Why did he become Spider-Man? And of course, great power, great responsibility. And then why did he wear a mask? And she said, because he didn't want the fame. He wanted to protect his loved ones. And plus, it looked very cool. Well, she said it looked freaking cool. So later that day, Miles drew a costume, which is the costume that's on all the covers. Gang got Miles a costume, and the costume is fitting, I guess. It's sort of fitting. It is a Halloween costume of Spider-Man, including some knee pads. Yeah, I would say some gray knee pads that doesn't even look cool. It's like, what the heck, man? So after a little chat of, is it bad taste? And Gank was like, no, it's honoring the dude. So Miles goes out and enjoy the Spider-Man life, but he doesn't have webs right now. There's still no webs. So he enjoys the Spider-Man life. He's just jumping and he's like, woo, yahoo, yay! And here's the funny part, is the fact that the fight with Kangaroo, which they just skipped that out. It's in Fallout 4, which I didn't get to see it. And plus, I didn't see it like beforehand where Miles Morales was revealed. I didn't see that crap. I just started it like on number 4, maybe number 5, number 6. I don't know which one I started on. But yeah, I got to see it recently. The fact that he was heard a noise, he heard like a commotion, he went down, and then Kangaroo was like, "Who the heck are you, kid?" So basically, just to wrap it up in a nutshell, is that there was a commotion. Miles went down to see what's the commotion about. They have Kangaroo. Kangaroo is being a jerk. Spider-Man beat the crap out of him after getting used to trying to dodge stuff and fighting. And then he got him with the very first Venom Blast punch against an enemy. And he got taken down, but of course, they also have this priceless picture of Miles getting thrown into a restaurant. And of course, we get to see inside the restaurant, but in the in the newspaper that caught it, yeah, you just saw him getting thrown out the window instead of showing him that he beat with Kangaroo. So Miles came back and he's like, man, he's like, man, that was hard. And then he got grilled. Yeah, so we're now to the fact of where Gank said maybe it is in bad taste, and he's telling him how Daily Bugle was dumping on him, hardcore dumping him. Yeah, and of course Jughead wanted to come in. Yeah, but they had locks. They locked the door because, come on, you need privacy, folks. I mean, it's kind of crazy if you want to freaking open the door and he's naked. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, Gank is not looking, but still, he's naked trying to dry off, and you want to come in, but he's naked. I mean, couldn't you wait like a few minutes? It's like, what's the deal with that? So he got the freaking counselor involved, or a counselor came out of nowhere, and the counselor was ranting on about you shouldn't lock the doors. No locking doors. Where's the crazy part is that if you have locks on the freaking doors and you can't lock the door, why in the world do you have locks on the doors anyways? It's like, why don't you just give them a break? Because I bet like in some girls room, it's not cool. Yeah, it's just not cool. I mean, come on. It's just not cool. So anyways, Miles goes out again. And this is the first time we see his spider sense at reacting to Spider-Woman's foot about to collide with his head. And ta-da, Spider-Woman kicked him onto a roof, and she said, you better think very hard. And think this very hard is, who do you think you are? And that's how number 4 ended. Alright, number 5. So she basically started questioning Miles about who are you and where did you get your spider powers. And Spider-Woman, well, basically turned into a shuffle with them both trying to, well, Spider-Woman's trying to subdue him while Miles was trying to make sure he doesn't get unmasked or handed. And then Spider-Woman webs off his mask, and he was like, how did you do those webs? And it started to be fighting for the mask, and he tried to hop away because she webbed him up. She webbed him up, and he was like, he was just hopping away saying, I'm gonna call the police, man. So he tries to hop away, and then he bangs his head, and she's like, uh-oh. Yeah, so he banged his head, and she just decided to take him to the helicarrier with, I think they actually took some blood from him and allowed him to sleep, and he's torn off from the webbing, and now he's just laying in the helicarrier bed. And the first thing he says is, oh man, which I think that will most likely be for everything he ever sees that's horrible. I mean, like surprising stuff will be, oh man. So they found out that he's not a clone, and we also see Fury in the Avengers. So they both were questioning among themselves, and they found out that he's not a clone, which is like duh. And Fury and Miles talks, which Miles accidentally shows camo mode to him, and Miles learns about his uncle. And there's also more talk, and would you cut it out? And we find out that his uncle is basically the Prowler. Yeah, so Miles now knows he is. And meanwhile, while all that was going on, we have a stupid nurse who causes Electro to wake up because she was like, I give him 50 cc's. It's supposed to be 100 cc's, you idiot. You don't have to yell at me. And I'm like, really? You could get killed like in 3 seconds. You should have thought really hard and long. And people should have put on the sign 100 cc's. This is Electro. Would you really like him to wake up? So, yeah, Electro is in a hospital bed in Trask Medical Ward. So anyways, Fury asks about the costume. He knows about the great power, great responsibility. Fury says how many times he's done it, and Miles said, was counting, he's like 3 times, and he's like 3 strikes, and you're here. So he needs more practice, and he needs a new costume. That's what basically came out of that. And Electro just woke up and went out, which I think the nurse definitely needed to get shocked, which if she didn't, she so should have. So we have Iron Man and Hawkeye going against him, and he failed. And Spider-Woman gave him a punch, but then she got blasted by him, and she went into the window. And we have Fury right over there with a couple of dudes shooting at him. And basically his shots are useless, even though it's weird how Aunt May's shot made it, and then before that a few other shots made it. It's like weird. So Miles was in camo mode after Fury was like, run kid, get out of here. So Miles first put on his mask, and in camo mode he threw a metal box or crate right at Electro. Electro was freaking out saying, what the hell, you were supposed to be dead. He's like, how are you alive? He's like, how am I alive? How are you made of electricity? And this is basically the comic where I'm like, Miles should so be called the Ghost of Spider-Man. I'm just saying this should be one of his nicknames, the Ghost of Spider-Man, because his costume matches it, and plus he's able to have camo mode, which is kind of cool. So Miles gives him another Venom Blast punch. So this is the second criminal who got defeated by the Venom Blast punch, and Electro was defeated. And because of that, Fury secretly gives Miles one more chance. Well, Miles and Gank was walking the next day, and we have Jessica Drew actually showing up at his school, and he gave him a suitcase. And in the suitcase was a costume of his very own. And of course, people, in details, you should know that most likely Jessica Drew made the costume. Yeah, she had to make the costume. And from Comic Vine, they said that the web shooters are in the case. So they just assumed that they're in the case, which it kind of makes sense. I mean, if you have him, just look at the costume, and then you have like some of these weird thingies. You're like, what are these? And it's like, oh, well, I have the suit though. Yeah. Now we're on to number 6. Oh yeah, first the overview is that we see that Miles cannot shoot webs. Miles can jump. Miles has some fast agility. Yeah, so Miles has fast agility shown by Spider-Woman trying to get him. He's able to turn camouflage, and he has something called Venom Blast Punch, but it wasn't called that until the 8th issue, but it's better to just call it that instead of the Spock move or Electric Sting or In Your Face. It's better than that. So now we're on to number 6, where we have Uncle Aaron going to Mexico, and he's there on business. He visits a bar. He tries to meet the dude. He got into a fight with all the dude's henchmen, and we find out that the person he's meeting is Scorpion, the new Scorpion, not the stupid clone Scorpion that was actually Peter, and he got beaten up and killed. Uncle Aaron has electric powers, which we find out is just a Tinker toy. And we have Miles. In this issue, Miles is also enjoying the spider life, but he's also in his new costume. So this is like his first training day. Whereas Miles actually had his first official robber fight. It was going very good until the fat dude, just punched him in his face, just clocked him. But luckily he recovered. He almost got his mask taken off. And he was able to stop him, and he beat the crap out of all of them. So he stopped the robbery and got the bad guy. And he got his first thanks from that fat girl, the fat woman, most likely someone's mom. The police are kind of iffy about this new Spider-Man. And I think we're about to arrest him too. So we have Betty Brant entering. So we have Betty Brant mentioned here. And Betty Brant took a picture of the shadowy figure of Spider-Man. So we're going back to Uncle Aaron. Uncle Aaron was having a little argument with Scorpion, and Scorpion finally pays after some argument, seeing how well his game is. And Aaron refused to give it since Scorpion's man kind of roughed him up. So Uncle Aaron started to kick his crotch and stab him right into the heart, and yet nothing happened. He didn't feel any pain or anything. There was not even blood. So Uncle Aaron runs for his life, but he runs into the policia. And then he was going to try to use his Tinker toy, but his Tinker toy was out of juice, so he got sent to jail. So we see Miles actually is at home now. So Miles gets to go on weekends for a bit at home. And he and his mother talks. And he had a secret talk within, just saying how he's Spider-Man. He actually met Nick Fury. He's able to climb through walls, able to turn invisible, all that stuff. But of course, after all that stuff, oh yeah, so the mom talks about school life first, and then he talks about his father and how he could be evil. He could be half evil. And she's like, you're your own man. Yeah. Don't let what your father did in the past dictate what you do. So Gank actually stops the mom and son moment. Yeah, and he just, yeah, that was kind of rude, but still he had some important stuff. So Gank and Miles talk. Miles was on TV, but he needs more training, so Gank actually gave him the DVD, which the DVD actually was kind of a tribute to Spider-Man 2. So you should have Peter Parker being his Mr. Miyagi, and he needs to know everything and even more that Peter knew. So we have Betty Brant in the Daily Bugle, and basically J. Jonah Jameson saying, I don't know who this Spider-Man is, and if it's not Peter, this dude's about to get very famous. And meanwhile in jail, his uncle finds out about the new Spider-Man, but it's in Spanish. Yeah, so he got the new picture of Miles in his new suit in Spanish, and he's like, I don't read Mexican. And that's how number 6 ends. Alright, number 7. Miles was training in his room, and his mom walked in to find out what food he wants to eat before he goes back. And that was kind of like a funny, awkward moment. The fact that she kind of thinks he was doing something, and he was really just practicing in his room, and he just says he was working out. It's like, why are you all sweaty? So family dinner before Miles leave, like I said, and his father started hating on Spider-Man, and his father was just being old, kind of cranky and stuff. The mother saw Spider-Man as cool, and his father mentioned Magneto and flooding. It's like, is that cool? And his father's basically, oh my gosh. I don't know what to say about his father. It's just that his father seems like he's kind of old, or his mom seems to be hip. Yeah, I'm wondering how the chuck did he ever get laid eyes on her, or how he got her heart. Well, anyways, the mother and father debates about on superhuman if they're good or bad, which yeah, they're on both sides. They're on two opposite sides. The mom likes him, the father hates him. And then we have the first of the thought bubbles, like the first true thought bubbles. And then we have training day part 2, where he actually climbs up he sees how fast he can run. He's like, it's pretty fast. And then he says, I need to find something I can climb. So he climbs up, but it was windy. And he's like, Peter, how did you do this? And then we see the fact that was he was basically very high, and he's like, man, I don't like Ferris wheels. I don't like it when you go way up. So we still have the heights value, which means he might be afraid of heights, or he just don't like heights. And he wished for webs, saying, Peter, how did you do this? And then we have the whole the porno, and his sandwich, which it's not a porno. I don't think so. I think it actually, in the back it said spring break, so it might have been Girls Gone Wild. And the dude was in his bathrobe having a sandwich. He threw a chip in his mouth, and he saw at his window Spider-Man saying, hello, can you help me out here? And he just straight up fainted. And then after that, we heard the big boom, and Miles actually jumped and took a leap of faith, which he was like, I hope that these powers don't wear off or something. And he caught a water tower. And then we have Miles versus Omega Red, which I would like to say that Omega Red from the Spider-Man one and Omega Red for this new one are way different. They're like way different. It's not even funny. And I even saw recently Wolverine versus Hulk, and that's even a different outlook on him. But it does have continuity on Ultimate Spider-Man. Well, this one. The other one, he looked kind of like darkish. They didn't, yeah, it might have been because of dark lighting, dark pencilers. So, yeah, we have in this fight, he's trying to come up with witty chat. You shut up, and you shut up. It's like, man, you shut up? That's horrible. So, funny how he actually was able to get one funny line that actually Peter said before. And Omega Red was like, I knew it's still you. You're not dead. And he also said, you made that comment before, you idiot. And he's like, he did? I did? He did? Crazy. So he ended up beating him with Venom Blast Punch, which up to now I'm like, this is how he's gonna beat him. It's just like him with the Power Ranger cannon, you know. Usually there's like many episodes where the Power Rangers take a cannon and just straight up shoot the bad guy. This is how it is. This is like his finisher, his end one, which he's gonna always use. But stay tuned, he doesn't. So we have the Tinkerer and the Prowler. And he's basically questioning the Tinkerer about Spider-Man and new one in town, is like, how did it happen and stuff. He puts two to two together, like Miles got bitten by a spider and here's the new Spider-Man. And then he's like, I gotta close loose ends. He didn't say this, but I think he wanted to, because it's like, if he's questioning, then most likely Tinkerer will say something. It's like, yeah, I think the Prowler has that spider. So he had no choice but killed him. UBP knockout. Oh, Venom Blast Punch knockout. Yep. I already mentioned that. And it ends with his uncle by a tree with Gank and Miles just walking. And he's like, you've been busy, my man? And that's where, I think this is where I stopped. This is where I actually had to wait for stuff now. Yeah. This one's very short. So in number 8, we have Aunt May and Gwen in Paris to avoid the paparazzi and stuff. But they find out that there's a new Spider-Man in town, and they're both like, so now back to Miles, Gank, and Uncle. So he told Gank to go and wait for me in the room. I got this. So the Uncle and Miles talk. The Uncle's being slick, telling him that he knows that he's Spider-Man, and he might ask for a favor later on. They gotta make a plan. And then all of a sudden, we have the Gatekeeper, which has been deemed by the X-Men to be Stormseek. So, Gatekeeper with Stormseek rudeness, it's like, who are you? And questioning stuff, and then he's like, well, until you get on this list, you can't see him right now. So, get out of here. And he's like, do I have to call security? This is the best part. It's like, baby, I would like to see you try. That is a good line. I have to admit, that's a good line. So, Gank overheard, and the uncle was smiling while he's walking away. And then we have the police station, which the Cosmic Cube is mentioned, which that one's basically like saying hello to Captain America / the Avengers. And we basically have Kangaroo being questioned about the new Spider-Man. And also, if you don't know the Kangaroo's new actual name, he told everyone else to just call him an idiot because that name is just ridiculous. So in research, someone did research, and they showed that Kangaroo was actually a villain of Spider-Man in the 70s. So, yeah. So Scorpion. Meanwhile, Scorpion basically comes to New York City, coming looking for the Prowler, and he just steps up being the new Kingpin, which the previous Kingpin, which is Wilson Fisk, if you don't know, he basically got killed like some time ago. He basically got killed by Electro. Yeah. Blasted right out of like a 10-story building out the window. Boom! Right into a car. So meanwhile, Miles is in a daze, and after his day of being in a daze, he said he needs to go out for fresh air, which is his second cover. His second Gank Cover Me. So Miles actually shows that he's able to be stealth, and when Miles was able to get out, put on his costume, which he does it. I don't really know if Spider-Man actually has his costume on or not, but I can tell you that Spider-Girl actually does have her costume in her backpack. So, yeah. So that's what he does. We now notice that Miles has his in the backpack. And Miles just think after able to just jump around a little bit and just hang on the building. He's just thinking to himself, it's like lots of stuff going on. The fact that his uncle, what does he want? He's a bad guy. And he's like, I can't tell my parents. And what if he tells my dad and all that stuff? He's just have lots of stuff. And then all of a sudden we see lots of rings. Someone's trying to do a ring toss. And then we see the ringer, and basically Miles said that he saw the ringer go against Spider-Man on ViewTube, which is YouTube. Which, hello ViewTube members who's watching this. So we have Miles being ringed by 5 rings. Miles gave him a diss about, he's like, I'm going to be respected forever. And Miles was just like, dude, you're not going to get respect in that costume. And Miles kicked him, straight up kicked him. This is the first criminal he actually didn't Venom Blast Punch, especially he can't since he's ringed up. So instead, he just kicked him with his left foot, and he got knocked down. And the police came, and it's like, I think it's like, Spider-Man, I need to talk to you. Yep. Frank Quad, Captain Frank Quad. And number 9, we have the police asking questions to Spider-Man. And there's one where he's like, you're not Spider-Man. He's like, oh, then can I be Thor? Yeah, and the dude, there's like one cop is like, can I unmask him? He's like, no, man. Danny Rand will be up our butts. So there's more questioning, especially how old are you? He's like, I'm 30. He's like, go home, kids. It's school night. And he eventually got Miles to leave unwillingly when he's like, okay, unmask him. So he finally got out of the rings, though. That's the good news. He got out of the rings, and he just jumped away. And they both basically said, come on. I mean, first you had Miles jumping away, so like, oh, come on. And then the ringer ran away saying, oh, come on. And then he got tased. So we have the Prowler returning to the Tinkerer's warehouse, which is now his headquarters. But Scorpion was waiting for him. And Scorpion attacks, and the uncle apparently had some Electro power. Yeah, so, like one of the things that he's using I think it's for Shocker. Might be for Shocker, might be for Electro. Some other dudes. Someone who needs it. So he uses it. Which technically I think it could have been Prowler himself. Yeah, because his costume. Yeah, his costume is souped up with some special stuff. Which I'm getting this from the Spider-Man the animated series. Which, yeah, if you saw that Prowler, yeah, that's where I'm taking it from. Except at least he's not hooked and Kingpin, and his his costume is not making him super strong or anything. Well, anyways, first he uses Electro power, and after that he uses Vulture's artillery. So you have Vulture's wings, which means Tinkerer also does stuff for the Vulture, and he shoots it at everybody, but Scorpion apparently is still alive. And Scorpion's like, you don't even know where I came from. It's like, what are you? So the uncle had no choice but to fly away, and then he just ran. He just straight up ran. Meanwhile, it's lights out, and Miles is missing. And Jughead is being a bloody idiot when he's like, where's Miles? Here's the stuff I would like to say before the other thing he said. Here's what he said. We actually haven't seen him in hours. No, he's not Gank. 2, he's in the bathroom. And you have... So Miles sneaked back in after the counselor looking for Miles. Yeah, so Miles sneaked back, and they need to work on their cover. That's one thing. So the counselor gave him a mean eye, and he threat of the next time he does it, he's calling his parents. Now, to what Jughead said before it ends. It's the fact that he said, if you're going to lie to us, if I'm going to lie for you, you got to get me in the loop of what's going on. So, actually, we haven't seen him in hours. No, he's not Gank 2. He's in the bathroom. It's lies. Jughead, you're a freaking idiot. Because that's not lying. That's telling the truth. You need to learn what's truth and what's lie, you dumb idiot. So, yeah. You need to just shut up and listen to your music even more. Alright? Yeah. Get deaf so you can't hear crap. Or even get mute too, because you're just not a good character. I don't like you, man. I just don't like you. Alright. So... Alright, after that, we had those two going with lights out. So they text each other saying, dude, I saw what you did last night. Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's cool. I don't like the line, though. And he's like, but is it worth it? And we'll see. So, an hour has passed. An hour or two has passed. Gank's asleep. Miles was, like, still awake a little bit. And then he get a text message from his uncle saying, meet me in a hotel. No, he's first like, hey, little man. He's like, meet me in a hotel. Yeah. So, to be continued on that. And now, finally, tonight, I actually got what was going on now. So, Miles did it. Miles actually went out. He talked to his uncle. His uncle unmasked himself. Uncle wanted him to unmask, but he didn't want to do it. So, they talked. Uncle's just learning stuff, trying to figure out what he can do and stuff, and they spar, which the uncle just wanted to see what he got, and they angry each other. It's true that they're angry at each other. Is that his uncle didn't like it that Miles was letting him whip him, and Miles didn't like being beaten up and shot at. Yeah, he didn't like that at all. So. Oh yeah, and also his uncle apparently is a magician or something because he was able to get his mask out of nowhere and take it off. So he was talking about the family business, the fact that they could be crime fighters together and that they should team up. Yeah, so... Oh yeah, we also learned that Miles has a temper. And let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, basically that he has... So it's like talking about family business, it's the fact that he's a bad guy. I shouldn't even be working with you. I need to go. And he's like, if you think I'm a bad guy, check out Scorpion. You can even look him up. He is a bad guy. He is a bad guy. So yeah, they're gonna work together to take out Scorpion. So they both go back. They go to wherever they go based. I don't think Uncle Aaron will go back to the Tinkerer's HQ because he's already been found out. So, Miles was able to get back there fine. There was no trouble, thank goodness, because I was like freaking out, being like, oh crap, the stupid counselor dude is gonna find him coming into his room and he's gonna be like, alright, I'm calling your parents. So Miles begins to be a little bit distant with Gank because he was still in a daze. He's in a daze yet again. With the gaze. He's in a daze yet again. And Gank tried to get his attention, but he was able to do it. So, yeah, so later on, I think it was the weekend now, and Miles was able to go back home for family time. So, Miles was eating his food. He was like being distant, just like he was with Gank. And his mother said, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. And the father was like, congratulations, it's a teenager. His Tom was like, stop it. So Miles went back to his dorm. He started looking up Scorpion. And Gank was like, what are you searching? And what is that? Yeah, so he let him look. And Miles got no wait, it was who is that when he texted. So his uncle texted him. He's like, hey little man. And Miles said, I want in after he saw Scorpion did murder. Finally all done with that. Yeah, that's 10 issues all in a nutshell. That's all what happened in the 10 issues. That's everything. So I guess I'll just make this like a 10-minute or 11-minute rehash. So, as we know, there is no webbing. He doesn't have webbing yet. We have no idea if he even tried doing webbing. Yeah, because only time he ever saw webbing was when Spider-Woman actually uses her fingers, which that's not how it's done. So, yeah, it's kind of weird how he wasn't like in Spider-Man 1 when he's like, fly, Shazam, up and away web, bam, bam, go web, go. We didn't even see that. He didn't even try that. It's like, how in the world were you not able to think of the iconic hand gesture? It's like, how did you guys miss that? I mean, how did Miles miss that? And the fact that if there are web shooters in the case, what's the deal with that? It's like lots of people need to have web shooters in the case. Like we have Tony Stark giving upgrade web shooters to Peter on his 16th birthday before he died. So we have Tony Stark who can give web shooters. We have Jessica Drew who can do web shooters because he remembers she has all the memories of Peter. Let's see what else. Some speculate that Gank can actually make web shooters. That it'll be funny if he makes them, and it's funny if he becomes a superhero sometime. And we have the Prowler, which he has the Tinkerer's lab, so he could actually make the web shooters. So it's all that. So we go into Spider-Man having his uncle knowing, and his uncle actually having him say, I'm in, let's team up against Scorpion. Excuse me. We also have Shield, who knows about Miles now. And we have Gank, his partner, that can actually block him. Can actually cover for him. We have Jughead being a total idiot tool who deserves to not even be there. There actually should be a two people per room instead of 3 because it's like, that's stupid. And they should be able to use the locks. You don't know what in the world could happen someday. You have no idea what can happen someday. And alright, let's see. Anything else? Well, the thing is that he has no web shooters. What's the deal? He doesn't shoot webs. He has no web shooters. He's as messed up as Superman / the Hulk. The fact that he has to keep on jumping from place to place. Or the fact that he has to just climb through place to place. It's like crazy. Why in the world do you have to let him jump? Why can't he just have web shooters and we be done with this? So hopefully in Spider-Man, he actually will get web shooters. We'll actually have a good time with this. And no one's going to be like, oh my gosh, why in the world did you do this crossover? It's so horrible. At least some people will be like, Peter's back! Yay! Peter's back! I want Peter! Like Storm Sync, for instance. But I have to say, so far with this character, I'm still hooked. I'm gonna still look. I'm gonna still try to continue on, look at all the updates and everything. And I most likely will have the whole sneak peek stuff of number 11 and so on. I'm gonna continue doing that. So hopefully more people will watch those, and every 10 issues I will make this thing, and I'm gonna read from the script I have, and we're gonna have a good fun, and lots of people will understand and be like, I understand him now. Oh my gosh, it's because of you I understand him better, and I'm okay with him now instead of hating him like Storm Stink, who's eternal racist. What? So that's about it. Alright, is there anything else? Well, only thing I have to say is that I don't like the fact that the X-Men was like in number 7. Yeah, the fact that, no, it was number 6, because that's when he was like, no, yeah, it's number 7. It was number 7 when he was like, to his uncle was like, you been busy, my man? Yeah, they were thinking he was gonna kill him or something. No, I was thinking he was gonna do some blackmail, which thank goodness you guys went to blackmail, but still killing? No, he's not gonna kill his uncle. He's not gonna kill his nephew. I mean, really? You think he's that cold blooded? He's gonna kill his nephew? I don't think so. All right, that's it. Yep. So I think. Oh yeah. I think I haven't really even put this up, so I'm gonna just say it here. Is that if they were gonna make Ultimate Spider-Man, make this movie, Miles in the movie, the only person they'll be able to have as a bad guy is Electro, and that was in number 3/4. No, 5. No, it was. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I think it was 5. Yeah, so 5 issues in. Or technically, they could take Ultimate Fallout and develop his story like some other way, like different from the comic. And you have Kangaroo as the first bad guy. And you can make him like as a kingpin at first. You can make this whole entire thing as in versus the kingpins. You have like, first you go against Kangaroo, then you go against Thompson Lincoln, then you go against the Fisk. Well, Kingpin. Yeah, you can make it like make a trilogy out of Spider-Man versus Kingpins. I think that would be kind of cool, I guess. At least it will be better than Michael Bay's movie, Ninja Turtles.